To tell you why the state believes the landlords tipped off agents.
And a man is dead after a standoff involving police in Aurora. We will break down exactly what led up to that shooting.
Plus, President Trump back on the world stage as he launches his new Board of Peace. What he is saying about the proposed alliance.
And taking a live look outside this morning. Get ready for the deep freeze. The single-digit temperatures are almost here.
Good morning. Thanks so much for joining us on this Thursday. I'm Natalie Bobke.
I'm Anthony Ponce. Let's head straight over to Mike Kaplan to figure out what we exactly mean by almost, okay? Almost. Is this a matter of hours? It's later tonight? How's the timing on these things?
We will be experiencing the worst of the cold between about 3 a.m. and noon tomorrow. Okay, that's when the extreme cold weather warning is going to go into effect. And there's also snow in the forecast. Let me show you the national map because a big chunk of the country is experiencing or about to experience some wintry misery. Winter storm watches all the way from eastern Arizona to the East Coast. And then there's the cold weather, and that is what's impacting the Chicago area first. This is the extreme cold warning. It'll go in effect at 3 a.m., and that covers all of the Illinois counties in Chicagoland. In Northwest Indiana, and I don't want you to think that there's a big difference between this cold weather advisory and the extreme cold warning, because there isn't. It's going to be painful to be outside and downright dangerous for any period of time. Now, it's just kind of garden variety cold. It's 17 at Midway, 11 at Waukegan, where you picked up a couple of inches of snow, 16 at Morris, 15 at Valparaiso. Gabriella, would it be correct to say that some commuters are singing the blues?
Mike.
Sorry, had to go there.
Come on, this is serious. There's major delays going on in the Blue Line. Yeah, partially because of the cold. We know that the trains, again, don't like the cold weather. Neither the humans, the pets, really anyone. But forest-bound trains are standing at Kedzie right now. It's due to some mechanical problems that are going on. It looks like that's the only line that's impacted. I'll keep you updated on that. The only crash icon in our system is still over just east of the Kennedy. It's at Elston and Ashland. It was an earlier crash that involved a truck, and it was heavily damaged, so it looks like they're cleaning up some debris. An investigation still underway there. Other than that, we have no incidents to report. I am curious to see how Lake County looks because we know that they got the majority of the snow, so I'll bring up some traffic cameras here soon. I know that Roseanne will give you an update very soon, too. Let's talk about those drive times here to start 6 a.m. 25 minutes on the Kennedy from O'Hare to downtown, 25 minutes on the Eisenhower, 25 as well on the Stevenson, around 20 minutes on the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Burn Interchange. Natalie and Anthony.
Okay, Gabby, thank you very much for that update. Our little warm-up. It was brief. It is cold again. It's getting colder, and some people are waking up to snow.
Not again. Roseanne Tay is live in the northern suburbs. She's bundled up. She's got the latest conditions for us. Hi, Roseanne.
Yeah. Hi, we're in Gurnee. We're off of Grand Avenue in 94 where the wind is starting to pick up. They've got a couple of inches of snow on the ground, but, you know, it's on top of other snow. It's starting to get messy. So we're asking people, you know, how are you dealing with this winter, especially with the cold coming in? We found Dennis. Dennis is a landscaper, Dennis Ross. And Dennis, it sounds like you're done.
I'm done. I've been done for 40 years. I've been telling my wife for the last 37 that we should go to Florida, and she doesn't like change. Right. I really don't either, but I'll tell you what, when it's minus 40, I'll take 74 anytime.
Oh man. So you're a landscaper, so I imagine you spend your fair share of time outside.
Oh yeah.
How do you suit up? What advice do you have for people?
Well, good thing Temu came on. This jacket is like good for like 30 below. And I love it. But that doesn't mean I don't want to go to Florida still. Yeah.
The coats only do so much.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And you've been keeping track of what a bad winter we've had.
Oh, you know what? In November, we had 14 inches of snow, which everybody said that we were going to have a really big winter as far as snow goes. So I thought, well, I guess I should get a plow put on my truck. Then we got a 9-inch snowfall. And then it went to, I think, 54. And it mostly melted.
Oh, my gosh.
And then about a week later, it was minus 8.
Okay.
And now, here we are.
Well, if your wife is listening, I think he's making the case for Florida.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, the colder it gets, the closer I get to Florida.
And tomorrow, how are you going to deal with the cold?
I think I'm going to stay in.
Good call. I
Yeah.
think many of us will.
Yeah. It's horrible. I don't like this cold weather.
Well, Dennis, we'll let you get back to your warm truck. Thank you so much for stopping. Dennis, a resident of Gurnee. So, you know, everybody's used to it, but it doesn't mean you like it, and Dennis is proof of that. But they are preparing, and, you know, as you heard Dennis, a lot of people just planning to stay home, especially if you work outdoors. Back to you guys in the studio.
You sure know how to pick them.
Dennis
we love
is all
Dennis.
of us.
Thank you, Roseanne, so much. Some schools already calling off classes ahead of the cold, including St. Thomas the Apostle and a couple of other private schools. Schools in Gary, Indiana are switching to e-learning. Watch Good Day Chicago tomorrow morning. The whole team will be here, and also fox32chicago.com for real-time updates.
All right, an independent agency is investigating after Aurora police shot and killed an armed man. Officers were called to the intersection of South Broadway and North Avenue around 12:30 yesterday. And when they got there, the man had barricaded himself inside an apartment with a knife. Investigators say things escalated when officers confronted him, and that's when they opened fire. Other news, a church is destroyed after a fire broke out in Ford Heights. Look at this video. It shows flames and smoke pouring from the roof of the True Light Temple of Praise Baptist Church. Amazingly, no one was hurt in this, thankfully. Crews are now investigating how that fire started.
Chicago police searching for a missing 16-year-old girl. The family of Layla Underwood offering a reward for her safe return. Layla last seen in Austin on West Cortez Street, a few blocks north of Ronald E. McNair Elementary. She was wearing a black jacket and black Crocs. Please call Chicago police if you have any information. The state of Illinois investigating an ICE raid that happened at a South Shore apartment building last year. On September 30th, armed federal agents rappelled from Black Hawk military helicopters and stormed all 130 units. Now, the state is looking into whether landlords tipped off federal agents in an attempt to possibly intimidate and remove Black and Hispanic tenants. Our reporters say Quan will have more coming up at 6:30.
Today, we are also expecting closing arguments in the trial of a man accused in a murder for hire plot, I should say, targeting Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino. Prosecutors say that Juan Espinoza Martinez sent out a bounty for Bovino via Snapchat. He has claimed he is not guilty of this, but if he is convicted, and we will keep you posted on this, he could face up to 10 years in prison.
And there's a group of congressional Democrats who are trying now to abolish ICE.
Brian Jackson joins us here in studio with a new proposal involving a local lawmaker. Brian?
On Wednesday, Chicago Congresswoman Delia Ramirez introduced the Melt ICE Act. This measure would ban the Department of Homeland Security from using funds for immigrant detention and instead redirect that money back into communities affected by enforcement like both Chicago and Minneapolis.
This money is being used to allow people to die in detention, to abduct people, disappear them, or send them to these third countries like Salvador to also live through horrible conditions.
Some lawmakers, though, are skeptical, including 15th Ward Alderman Ray Lopez, who's been in favor of revising the city's sanctuary ordinance to allow police to work with federal authorities to go after known criminals.
But to simply state that you are going to take away funding from an enforcement mechanism of the federal laws which she and her colleagues are responsible for creating shows a serious disconnect between what their roles are in Washington, D.C. and what happens out in our neighborhoods.
A Chicago-based law firm just put out an independent autopsy report for the woman shot and killed by ICE agents in Minneapolis. Romanucci and Blanded's report found that Renee Good was shot 3 times, once in her head, chest, and forearm. As protests continue over her death, the U.S. is now ordering dozens of additional active duty soldiers to prepare for possible deployment to Minneapolis. Anthony?
Okay, Brian, thank you. New this morning, President Trump and other world leaders signed his proposed Board of Peace at the World Economic Forum. That signing happened in the last couple of hours. The board was originally meant to oversee an end to the war between Israel and Hamas, but its purpose has now expanded to assist with conflicts all over the world.
Tremendous potential with the United Nations, and I think the combination of the Board of Peace with the kind of people we have here, coupled with the United Nations, can be something very, very unique for the world.
Some 35 countries had agreed to sign on to the project. President Trump says Russian President Vladimir Putin agreed to join, but says the country is still analyzing the invitation.
City of Chicago banning the sale of some hemp products. Retailers have until April to comply. The ordinance bans hemp-derived weed products like Delta 8 and 9. It does not include hemp beverages and topical creams. The ordinance also bans sales to people 21 and under. City Council was also expected to vote on that teen curfew, but a substitute proposal was introduced in the 11th hour, we're told, forcing the vote to the next council meeting.
Today, an Indiana committee is expected to vote on a measure designed to lure the Chicago Bears over the state line into Hoosier territory. This measure would create a Northwest Indiana Stadium Authority, which would be responsible for acquiring, financing, and then leasing land for a stadium. If it does pass the Senate Appropriations Committee, it would go to the floor for a full vote.
Well, doesn't Indiana now rank as the football capital of the universe?
It's the nucleus. Yes. Football school now, not a basketball school.
Right.
We're a football school at the moment.
All right. Okay, so we are in the moment approaching a really deep freeze.
Yeah.
And super concerning for us here. And I'm worried about people's safety.
Well, and that's why they need to take this extreme cold weather warning to heart. And even though if you're in Northwest Indiana, we're talking about Indiana, it's only a cold weather advisory. The difference between, can you tell the difference between a minus 25 and a minus 32 wind chill?
No.
I bet not. So the message here is clear for all of you. Stay indoors, and if you have to be outside for any period of time, cover everything you possibly can. Also look after your pets. Don't keep your dog outside. Your dog's going to tell you, we're going to get our business done in a hurry. Let's go inside, Mom or Dad. Trouble ahead. Dangerous wind chills late tonight through Saturday morning. The worst of it will be tomorrow morning. Wind chills then 35 below zero. Accumulating snow, to me, is increasingly likely this weekend, particularly close to the lake and Saturday late into Sunday. Right now, skies are clear. It's 15. West-southwest winds at 17, producing at O'Hare a wind chill of 1 below zero. That's nothing compared to where we'll be in 24 hours. It's 15 at the lakefront, 18 Joliet, 11s at Woodstock and Waukegan, 16 LaSalle, Peru. It's also 16 at Merrillville and 15 degrees in Valparaiso. It's still pretty blustery out there, so wind chills, yeah, barely above zero in a few spots. Feels like 3 at Gary, 4 at the lakefront, but it's 4 below at Woodstock. And these wind chills are going to get worse. I will show you the Futurecast wind chill when we come right back. But back to you, Anthony and Natalie, now.
Thank you, Mike. After the break, we are live in Washington, D.C. to examine where the president's push for Greenland stands after his meetings with world leaders.
Who's the celebrity?
Welcome back to Good Day Chicago. We're so glad you're with us on this Thursday. It is now 6:15, and here are some of the headlines we're following for you.
An independent agency is investigating after Aurora police shot and killed an armed man on Wednesday. Investigators say that man had barricaded himself inside an apartment with a knife, and things escalated when officers confronted him, and that is why they say they opened fire.
The state is investigating a September ICE raid that happened at a South Shore apartment building. Investigators are looking into whether the landlords tipped off federal agents in an attempt to possibly intimidate and remove Black and Hispanic tenants. But at the time, Homeland Security said they were targeting members of a Venezuelan gang.
President Trump introduced his new Board of Peace at the World Economic Forum. This board was originally meant to oversee an end to the war between Israel and Hamas, but its purpose has now expanded to assist with conflicts all over the world. All right, 6:16. Let's send it back over to Mike Kaplan as we inch toward this weekend, bracing for this cold. When's it going to hit, Mike?
Well, one could argue it's already hit. It's all kind of flavors of cold. The worst of it is coming in late tonight and tomorrow, but really no relief from colder than normal temperatures through next week. So let's get over here to the map. Let's talk about the wind chills. This is going to be the first problem that we're dealing with, is the intense cold on the way. Today, it's not going to be that bad. We'll have wind chills in the double digits part of the day, but watch what happens tonight. By 8 o'clock, we're kind of back where we are now, if not colder. 9 below, the wind chill at Woodstock, 1 below at O'Hare. That's what we have now. Feels like 5 above at Merrillville. Then overnight into tomorrow morning, it gets dangerously cold. You see these minus 30 wind chills, minus 35. The northern tier of counties, absolutely atrocious, and no bargain in northwest Indiana. Throughout the day, even with the sun up, look at these wind chills, 20 below zero or thereabouts throughout the day, and it's going to be another punishingly cold night tomorrow night into Saturday. So these wind chills are going to warrant the extreme cold warning, 3 a.m. to noon, and then almost certainly after that, the rest of Friday into Saturday morning, it's going to be a cold weather advisory. Today, we're going to hit a high of 24 degrees. That's about the warmest day in the entire 7-day forecast. Might be a brief snow shower between about 4 and 8 p.m. 0 for the high tomorrow. Then we'll be at least in double digits for the rest of the forecast. But I am convinced we're getting snow here Saturday and Sunday. Long duration event, varying intensities of snow. I think proximity to the lake, even on the Illinois side, will bring higher snowfall totals. I think this will be a disruptive snowstorm for Chicagoland. Your commute on at least one of the L lines is disrupted. Gabriella, what are we looking at?
Mike, we're still talking about major delays over on our blue line. Forest-bound trains are standing at near Kedzie right now due to mechanical problems going on. We're assuming that it's because of the cold weather. We know that the trains, again, do not like the cold. Nothing on Metro coming up just yet, and our other L lines are looking okay. We do have a crash reported inbound on the Kennedy at Randolph Street. It's luckily just blocking a right shoulder. Maybe a reason why we're not seeing as much stop and go near that area. But I do want to take a look at what's happening up in Lake County. This is in Wadsworth. This is a picture courtesy of Lake County Passage, and it looks to me like a spin-out crash. See, this car is kind of pointed in the wrong direction here. Crews obviously on scene trying to clean this up. It's at Delaney and York House Road. So just be aware of this if you're up in Wadsworth. The roads aren't looking very good there. I know that we have Roseanne Tejas and a photographer up there giving us a look at some of the side streets. Just know that they're going to be a little extra slick. Take your time this morning, especially where we got a little bit more snow. I'll send it back to you.
All right, thank you, Gabby. Appreciate it. Well, there will be no U.S. invasion of Greenland. President Trump backing away from another tariff battle as well with Europe.
Yes, those were big developments from the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland. But as Doug Luzader reports, the details are still emerging.
In Greenland, a frozen landscape, but signs of what could be a diplomatic thaw.
People thought I would use force. I don't have to use force. I don't want to use force.
President Trump at the World Economic Forum in Davos saying he would not, in fact, invade Greenland. It was a de-escalation at a gathering where world leaders had been very vocal, countering Trump's ambitions to take over Greenland and his threats to impose new tariffs to make it happen. And soon, news of a deal.
Well, the deal is going to be put out pretty soon, and we'll see. It's right now a little bit in progress, but pretty far along. It gets us everything we needed to get.
It may allow for more access for additional U.S. military facilities in Greenland, but stopping well short, it seems, of a U.S. takeover.
That issue did not come up anymore in my conversations tonight with the President. He's very much focused on what do we need to do to make sure that that huge Arctic region, where change is taking place at the moment, where the Chinese and Russians are more and more active, how we can protect it.
And as we wait to learn the details, some Greenlanders spent the day stocking up just in case.
Maybe just in case if something happens, that we are ready to just be prepared to survive.
All right, so looping Doug in now. The president backing away from these tariff threats. However, some lawmakers, Doug, fearing that the damage to the NATO alliance has already been done. What are you hearing on your end?
Well, look, you know, as far as the markets are concerned, you know, we saw a rebound yesterday, I think in anticipation of some kind of a deal that would rule out these additional tariffs. You know, the NATO alliance, you know, obviously remains in place. It is interesting to note that this was a deal that was really hammered out between the U.S. and NATO. So NATO is still playing a pretty active role. And the question now is whether Denmark's going to sign off on this deal and what the deal includes. I mean, we do think that it includes some kind of additional U.S. access to put bases in Greenland. But how far along those lines, it's just not evident yet.
And this Board of Peace is so interesting, Doug, because there's so many elements to it. Obviously, initially established to help deal with the conflict in Gaza and Israel, but now perhaps in the future taking the place of the United Nations. What are you hearing along those lines?
Well, the president did talk about this morning. He had the signing ceremony for this Board of Peace, and you know, the portfolio for the Board of Peace has expanded significantly. I mean, initially, as you referenced, it was really designed to help in the rebuilding of Gaza. Now it was, you know, it's really kind of expanded what it could potentially do, and it was seen as perhaps an eventual rival to the United Nations. The president seemed to try to kind of calm some of those fears today, talking about the still the role that the United Nations will play in this. And we don't know ultimately how many countries will sign on with the Board of Peace. I think they've got 35 countries or so. So it still has a ways to go. And, you know, that's still kind of a work in progress as well in terms of what this board is really going to take on.
And we'll see what happens with it. Doug, thank you, sir. Appreciate it as always.
Thank you.
All right, 622, major recognition for Chicago's food scene. We will tell you which spots are in the running for this year's James Beard Awards.
Live better, vote more.
Welcome back. The family of a Chicago public school teacher is turning pain into purpose in the wake of her death.
They just launched a new initiative called the Linda Brown Advocacy Protocol. It gives families of missing loved ones information on how searches work, working with the media, and tips to avoid slowing down the investigation.
No one thinks that it's going to happen to you until it does. And I was one of those people. I mean, I'm in this space. I work in this space every day, and I never imagined my own family being in this situation until we were. And so it's really just being prepared. And again, if you find yourself in this situation, God forbid, then you have a resource.
Linda Brown was found dead in Lake Michigan more than a week after she was reported missing. She was laid to rest earlier this week.
Kingsley Elementary School in Evanston could possibly close in June. The school board is expected to hold a final vote on this today. Officials say it's due to cost cutting as the district is looking to cut $11 million from the budget. The school is Title I, meaning they get funding for students from low-income households.
New this morning, Francesca's is closing down. One of my favorite places, the women's boutique, closing its remaining stores by the end of the month, including 11 here in Illinois. The retailer warns that it may need to take more significant steps to stabilize finances, including filing for bankruptcy. Francesca's stock fell 85% this year.
In just about an hour, we're going to find out which movies and stars are up for this year's Oscar Awards. The list of nominations gets announced at 7:30, so 63 minutes from right now. Jake Hamilton's all over this. He will have us all covered when they get announced. The 98th Academy Awards will air Sunday, March 15th. Conan O'Brien will be returning as the host of that. And turning now to the Oscars of the food world, we're talking about the James Beard Awards. 23 Chicago restaurants have been named as semifinalists for this year's coveted James Beard Awards, and that's more than last year.
Fantastic,
23,
yes, so many great spots.
There are too many to name, but here's a little preview here. In the Outstanding Restaurant category, Ukrainian Village's Kasama, which recently received a second Michelin star, very big deal. El Ideas, also a Michelin restaurant that is located in North Lawndale with the nomination. And under the Best New Restaurant category, the Indian restaurant Nadu and Italian-Brazilian restaurant Nick and Junior's in River North. Sam Toya, who is the president of the Illinois Restaurant Association, says just being nominated can be a game changer for some of these spots.
It's like being nominated for an Oscar, or winning an Oscar. That's why it is so important to the food industry, to our chefs, to our restaurateurs, to our bartenders.
The award ceremony is at the Lyric Opera House, as it always is. June 15th is when it happens. Chicago hosts the ceremony until 2027. And is the first host city outside of New York City to host the James Beard Awards.
It's such a big deal. I laugh because I co-anchor the noon show with Sylvia, who is like a foodie. She's been to all these places, okay? So I was going to get a recommendation for a birthday restaurant to go to because my birthday's coming up next week. And I'm like, forget it. I'm just going to go to the Sugar Factory.
There you go.
Because I can't even
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple, Mike Kaplan.
There you go. There you go. But you're right. Sylvia does. She is connected into the restaurant empire all across Chicagoland. But you got to love Sam Toya, don't you? He is just something else. All right. We have not love-worthy weather on the way. Extreme cold, and I think we have a weekend snowstorm on the way as well. I'll lay it all out for you, like it or not, coming up. Hi, Dan.
All right, there's the view here at 6:32 on your Thursday morning. We are getting toward the weekend here. It is going to be a very cold one. We're getting the details now from Mike Kaplan. When is the deep
freeze is very late tonight, more towards tomorrow, like right about now, tomorrow, maybe the worst of it, when we have widespread 30 below zero wind chills or worse. And then over the weekend, we've got some snow on the way. Out there right now, it's a relative garden time with temperatures that are in the double digits. Let's check out that current number. At O'Hare, anyway, we're looking at 15. Skies are clear. We have a west-southwest wind blowing at 17, so the wind chill, what it feels like, 1 below. Tomorrow at this time, I think it's going to be closer to 31 degrees below zero. Painful, painful stuff. Other current temperatures pretty close to that 15. A little colder far north. Woodstock 10, Waukegan 11. Joliet, you're 18 degrees. It's also 18 at Gary. Headed today for highs in the mid-20s. Today, the warmest day in my entire 7-day forecast. All right, something's on fire. Gabriella and Sky Fox are on the case.
Mike, listen to this. So Sky Fox is above it, right? And it looks exactly like a fire, but Sky Fox has actually just really warm lights and a lot of steam.
Seriously?
I guess so. Isn't that interesting?
Wow.
Because my heart dropped when I saw this. Okay, this is in the medical district area. This is just south of the Eisenhower. It looks like a parking garage, so I was really concerned. But I guess that's the case. We'll get more information because maybe there is something going on a little bit deeper that we can't see from an aerial view, but super interesting. The Eisenhower, speaking of, is looking okay. There's no incidents to report. Around 40 minutes right now for an inbound trip from Route 390 to the old post office. A little bit of stop and go, maybe as you approach, I don't know, that building, Illinois Medical District. 35 minutes on the Stevenson from 355 to DuSable Lakeshore Drive. 25 minutes on the Dan Ryan, and it looks like 30 minutes on the Kennedy way up north from O'Hare to downtown. I do want to give you an updated look up here near Wadsworth. Mike and I were talking about this. Really slippery roads. He suggests taking the tri-state or anything else other than these side roads because they're still really slick with all that snow that we got up there. And you can see police presence here, still that car. It looks like maybe possibly a spin out there on the southbound side. So at least a couple lanes blocked there at the intersection of Delaney and York House Road over in Wadsworth. I'll send it back to you.
Okay, thank you so much, Gabby. We do want to mention this as well. Some schools are already calling off classes ahead of the cold, including St. Thomas the Apostle and a couple of other private schools. Schools in Gary, Indiana are switching to e-learning. Make sure you watch Good Day Chicago tomorrow morning. The whole team will be here. Fox32Chicago.com, our website, will also have real-time updates.
An independent agency is investigating after Aurora police shot and killed an armed man. Officers were called to the intersection of South Broadway and North Avenue around 12:30 Wednesday. And when they got there, the man had barricaded himself inside an apartment with a knife. Investigators say that things escalated from there when officers confronted him. That is when they opened fire.
The state of Illinois is now investigating a landlord's role in an ICE raid that happened at a South Shore apartment building last fall.
That raid gained widespread attention after the Trump administration publicly put out a video of these federal agents looking for who they say were alleged criminals. Say Kwan joins us here in studio to break down the latest details of this investigation. Say.
Hey, good morning to you guys. That ICE raid ended with at least 37 people getting arrested, which, according to the Department of Homeland Security, was an operation that targeted people believed to be involved in drug trafficking and distribution, weapons crimes, and immigration violations. That building was raided back on September 30th when armed federal agents rappelled from Black Hawk military helicopters and stormed into each of the 130 units. Information from that newly filed housing discrimination charge backs up tenants' claims of agents dragging them and their children outside, separating them based on their race, ancestry, and national origin, and leaving them zip-tied for hours outside of that building. It also alleges that when tenants were allowed back in the building, their doors were knocked down, and the people who work for the management company started putting tenants' belongings in the trash and clearing out units. As part of this investigation, the state is basically trying to find out whether the landlords tipped off federal agents about Venezuelan immigrants living there to intimidate and remove Black and Hispanic tenants from the building. Governor Pritzker released a statement saying, in part, state law prohibits discrimination, and that includes aiding or abetting conduct intended to interfere with housing and civil rights. In another statement, the Illinois Department of Human Rights Director says every person in our state is entitled to freedom from housing discrimination protection and to the protection of their dignity, rights, and personal safety. When actions by any entity undermine those protections, the state has a responsibility to examine them in the interest of public welfare, accountability, and equal justice. Also, as part of this investigation, the State Department of Human Rights will now begin contacting and interviewing these witnesses. We've also reached out to people living in that area, and the alderman will let you know as soon as we hear back. Guys.
Say, thank you so much. And Chicago police are searching for a missing 16-year-old girl, the family of Layla Underwood, offering a reward for her safe return. Layla was last seen in Austin on West Cortez Street, a few blocks north of Ronald E. McNair Elementary. She was wearing a black jacket and black Crocs. Please call Chicago police if you have any information.
Today, we are expecting closing arguments in the trial of a man accused in a murder-for-hire plot targeting Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bavino. Prosecutors say Juan Espinoza Martinez sent a bounty out for Bavino via Snapchat. Martinez says he is not guilty. If he is convicted, he could face up to 10 years in prison. We will keep you posted on that decision. All right, this morning, President Trump is hosting a signing ceremony for his proposed Board of Peace at the World Economic Forum. That signing happened in the last couple of hours. The board was originally meant to just oversee an end to the war between Israel and Hamas, but now its purpose has evidently expanded to assist with conflicts going on all over the world.
Tremendous potential with the United Nations, and I think the combination of the Board of Peace with the kind of people we have here, coupled with the United Nations, can be something very, very unique for the world.
Some 35 countries had agreed to sign onto the project thus far. Trump says that Russian President Vladimir Putin agreed to join, but says the country is still analyzing the invitation.
The city of Chicago is banning hemp sales. Retailers have until April to comply. The ordinance bans hemp-derived weed products like Delta 8 and 9. It does not include hemp beverages and topical creams. The ordinance also bans sales to people 21 and under. The city council was also expected to vote on a teen curfew, but a substitute proposal was introduced in the 11th hour, we're told, forcing the vote to the next council meeting.
Today, an Indiana committee is expected to vote on a measure designed to lure the Chicago Bears across the state line. This measure would create a Northwest Indiana Stadium Authority, which would be responsible for acquiring, financing, and leasing land for a stadium. If it does pass the Senate Appropriations Committee, it would then go to the floor for a full vote.
6:39, Mike Kaplan back with us here. And I mean, weather is one of our main stories today because it is going to get so cold. And I noticed the city of Chicago did push out an alert, a cell phone alert about dial 311. If you need one of those warming centers in the next couple days, you will be directed by the operator to the one nearest you.
This is going to be really a nationwide story. And two factors. One, the precipitation, which the worst of it is going to be to our south. Major ice storm, heavy snow. We'll get in on some of that snow. And then there's the cold factor, and the two of them kind of blending together, impacting a big part of the country. So let's deal with our issues first. And number one, it's going to be the cold. And we're specifically concerned about the wind chills. So let me show you our Weather Authority Futurecast here for where those wind chills are going to be and where they're headed. This afternoon, at least it feels like it's above zero across the area, but watch what happens tonight. Here comes the colder air drilling in behind a cold front. By 8 o'clock, we're looking at wind chills pretty close to where we are right now, a little bit colder far north. And then the bottom drops out. Tomorrow morning, at roughly this time, look at these widespread 30 below zero wind chills or worse, and it's not much better in Northwest Indiana. Throughout the day, all day, with sunshine, the wind chills are still going to be about minus 20 or worse, and tomorrow night into Saturday, it will be just as cold, easing back a little bit, but that's also when snow is going to be moving into the area. So we have first the extreme cold and then snow. It's an extreme cold warning in blue, the Illinois side. Northwest Indiana, you're only under a cold weather advisory. I don't want you thinking, if you're watching right now in Crown Point or Cedar Lake, oh, we're going to be fine here. Everywhere in Chicagoland, it's going to be really tough to take. 24 today for the high, mostly sunny to mostly cloudy, maybe a brief snow shower coming in during the evening hours. We'll be back right after this.
Fox 32 News is
6:44 now. A jury has cleared a former Uvalde school police officer of all charges in the 2022 shooting at Robb Elementary School. Prosecutors accused Adrian Gonzalez of failing to act. The defense argued Gonzalez did not see the shooter when he got to the school and worked to evacuate students. 19 kids and 2 teachers were killed in the shooting. A House committee is moving to hold Bill and Hillary Clinton in contempt in the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. Lawmakers say the Clintons refused to testify after being subpoenaed and turned in written statements instead. The Republican-led committee, with some Democrats, says that undermines transparency. If the full House approves, the Clintons could face fines or jail time. The Clintons have not been accused of wrongdoing in connection with Epstein.
Utility crews have fixed a gas leak that forced evacuations right near the Rush Copley Medical Center in Aurora. NICOR officials tell us that that leak was caused by a construction crew. Fortunately, nobody was hurt. All right, new data showed that the number of homeless people in Chicago may be higher than we initially thought here. The U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development's count for 2024 was around 18,800 people. But the Chicago Coalition to End Homelessness reported higher than 58,000 in our area. The author of that research tells us this is a stat everyone in our area should be concerned about.
You know, rent costs in Chicago, we track this as part of our estimate every year, and they consistently have been rising significantly, and that will continue. And we all know what's going on with inflation. So as cuts are happening for people that are currently experiencing these atrocities, we are deeply concerned about how more and more people who have not needed these subsidies and support so far will be pushed to that brink.
CCH says that the difference in numbers has to do with how the data is collected. HUD looks at one day, whereas local officials in this issue, they look at an entire year's worth of stats. So that's the explanation behind the disparity there. All right, it is 6:46. We're going to take a quick break. We will be back with more Good Day Chicago right after this, so stay with us.
The energy is back.
Welcome back. The family of a Chicago Public Schools teacher is turning their pain into purpose in the wake of her disappearance and her death.
Yeah, they just launched a new initiative called the Linda Brown Advocacy Protocol. It gives families of missing loved ones information on how searches work, working with the media, and tips to avoid slowing down the investigation.
No one thinks that it's going to happen to you until it does. And I was one of those people. I mean, I'm in this space. I work in this space every day, and I never imagined my own family being in this situation until we were. And so it's really just being prepared. And again, if you find yourself in this situation, God forbid, then you have a resource.
Linda Brown was found dead in Lake Michigan more than a week after she was reported missing. She was laid to rest earlier this week.
Kingsley Elementary School, this is in Evanston, it could possibly close in June. The school board is expected to hold a final vote on this today. Officials say this is due to cost cutting as the district is looking to cut $11 million from the budget. And the school is Title I, meaning it gets funding for students from low-income households.
New this morning, Francesca's Boutique is shutting down. The women's boutique closing its remaining stores by the end of the month, including 11 in Illinois. The retailer warns it may need to take more significant steps to stabilize finances, including filing for bankruptcy. Francesca's stock fell 85% this year. And DuPage County's Wildlife Center back open after years of work. I've done many stories out here. It is such a wonderful place. So many great volunteers. This is the largest wildlife rehabilitation center in the state, with on-staff veterinarians treating more than 11,000 wild animals each year. The new 27,000 square foot building incorporates the visitor experience with windows in the lobby, providing a behind-the-scenes look at care.
You'll actually get to see an animal that has come in, get an examination, get treatments, even get a surgery, so we can watch that happen in real time.
The center is open 7 days a week. I'm trying to make plans to take my 5-year-old daughter there because it's such a great experience. The building is also a net zero facility, meaning it produces as much, if not more, energy than it uses.
Oh, that's a good thing as well. Great stuff. Okay, in about 30 minutes, well, 40, we are going to find out which movies and stars are up for this year's Oscar Awards. The list of nominations gets announced at 7:30. Jake Hamilton's going to have us all covered. As soon as they come out, he's, waiting with bated breath here. Jake Hamilton, this is like his Super Bowl. The 98th Academy Awards air Sunday, March 15th. Conan O'Brien coming back as host of that. Turning now, though, to the Oscars of the food world. Hey, guess what? Chicago is representing at this year's James Beard Awards. 23 Chicago restaurants have been named semifinalists for this year's coveted awards, and that is more restaurants than last year. Too many to name all 23, but here's kind of a preview here, some of the highlights. In the outstanding restaurant category, Ukrainian Village's Kasama, which recently received a second Michelin star, that has been nominated. Also, a restaurant called Elideus. That's also a Michigan star-rated restaurant in North Lawndale. That's been nominated. Under the Best New Restaurant category, the Indian restaurant Nadu and Italian-Brazilian restaurant Nick and Junior's. That's in River North. Both got nominations. Here's Sam Toya, president of the Illinois Restaurant Association, on how just being nominated for this award can be a game changer for these restaurants.
It's like being nominated for an Oscar, or winning an Oscar. That's why it is so important to the food industry, to our chefs, to our restaurateurs, to our bartenders.
Yep, the award ceremony happening once again at the Lyric Opera House happens June 15th. And Chicago is actually the only city that has hosted these awards outside New York City. And we've got this going till 2027. So I would love for them to stay here in Chicago. Lyric Opera is an amazing venue for this.
And I know that oftentimes some of the restaurants have parties, with all of these chefs, leading up to the big event and afterward. And I mean, you can't beat that, right?
No, this is good stuff.
These are like 20-something in the city. Were there 23. Any suburban nominees?
We got to dive in, but my understanding is 23 Chicago restaurants.
Yeah, I wonder if, some suburban place got a James Beard nomination. But congrats to those who have been nominated, and good luck. We have got cold on the way, and I think we've got snow on the way also. So let's deal with it all. First of all, you're going to be, bless you, by the way, Anthony. We have got a significant storm system that is going to be traversing kind of the southern half of the country, all the way from the desert southwest to the mid-Atlantic. We will be on the northern fringe of that in terms of precipitation. Late this afternoon, early this evening, on the Arctic front, there can be a brief snow shower. That's not a big deal snowfall-wise, but behind that front, the cold coming in is serious, it is significant, it is dangerous. Wind chills from the wee hours of the morning tomorrow, really throughout the day, are going to be minus 20 to minus 35. Here you see the infancy of what will be a significant ice and snowstorm. But take a look at the blue, all right? This is ice, that's snow. And our model and others picking up on the northward progression of that snow, moving in here Saturday and Sunday. And it is likely that there will be some lake enhancement going on with a northeast wind, meaning that the Lake Cook County, parts of maybe eastern Will County, are in line to get some significant snow, in my opinion, here this weekend. And if you're hoping for a break from the cold, forget about it. This is the extended temperature outlook. East of the Rockies, expected to stay colder than normal for that period. 24 today, and today is the warmest day in my entire forecast. West winds at 15 to 30. Watch for a couple hours of light snow showers this evening, not as heavy as what some of us endured last night. 8 below by daybreak tomorrow with wind chills to minus 35, justifying the extreme cold warning for Chicagoland. 0 for the high tomorrow. There's the snow coming in Saturday and Sunday. This is a sticking and potentially disruptive snowfall for us over a long duration. And then temperatures next week remain well below normal. 4 minutes before 7, let's get a check back in. We now have a legit fire.
A legitimate fire. Yeah, Mike, wasn't that crazy video? We had Skyfox, if in case you missed it at home, over just south of the Eisenhower near the medical district. It was a building that looked like a huge fire coming out of a parking structure, but ended up just being really warm lights and steam. Very interesting. This is an actual fire. It's over 77th and Damon Avenue. This is in the Gresham neighborhood. Looks like this was the house that was involved with that fire. Maybe just putting out hotspots now. We haven't seen any flame. We haven't seen any smoke come out of this house. And it looks like they were able to take care of it and just keep it contained to that one house. But still, of course, Damon Avenue is going to be closed in this area. So please keep that in mind if you're traveling around Gresham. I want to go up to Fox Lake. Now, you can't really see the crash up near the intersection of US 12 and Big Hollow Road, but you can see how the roads are snow covered up in Lake County. This is a picture courtesy of Lake County Passage. You're going to want to take it extra slow. Mike was talking about how he made the decision to take the Tri-State all the way down just because it looked a little bit better than some of these side streets. Your normal commute might change this morning, and make sure you leave yourself an extra couple of minutes. I'll send it back to you.
Thanks, Gabby. Before we head off into break here, I do want to mention there were some suburban restaurants nominated for the James Beard Awards, 3 of which in Naperville, and that includes Mira, Sanders Barbecue Supply Co., and Loaf Lounge.
Congrats to all 3 of those. Yeah, not just Chicago. Good stuff.
Plenty more Good Day Chicago ahead, though. Keep it right here.
Driving costs the average commuter
Welcome back. The federal government isn't giving up on its claim that Meta broke antitrust laws. The FTC has filed to appeal a verdict from last year. In that case, a federal judge found that Meta did not break those laws when it bought Instagram and bought WhatsApp. The FTC's notice of appeal is preliminary, and the agency hasn't laid out its legal argument just yet.
Nathan's Famous Hot Dogs has been sold for $450 million. Smithfield Foods